Good afternoon and welcome everybody to another episode of Spec Talk. Today we are off to an interesting start today. I'll be honest, the GoToWebinar is having issues with cameras. So right now, as today stands, you will only be hearing our voices and seeing our screens, but you will not be seeing our faces today, which keep your comments to yourself if you think that's a good idea or a bad idea. But today's episode is going to be called Link Outside the Box. And we're going to be talking about custom linking and how in SpecLink, it allows users to create dynamic connections between specific sections, ensuring consistency, reducing errors, and streamlining workflows. Most of you already knew that. This powerful feature gives the firms the flexibility to tailor their spec writing process to their unique project needs, improving efficiency and accuracy. And in this episode, we are going to be diving all into that. As always, your hosts today are myself, Dory Azar, and Alex Bear, who Alex taught me something that he likes to do summertime,
Yes,
Alex, right? You spend time on the boat.
that's right.
And
Yeah, I like to
what
be
was the
out
name?
in
What was the name
Lake
of the lake?
Lanier. Yeah, Lake
Lake
Lanier.
Lanier.
It's actually the most haunted lake in the country,
Oh, really?
for the unusual amount of boat accidents and deaths, actually. However, it is a beautiful
Oh,
lake and a large
with a
lake
great.
outside of Atlanta. Just
Well,
happens to be haunted.
Alex likes to spend time on a boat, and I was named after a boat. If nobody knows that inside joke, a dory is actually a type of boat. So there you go. So we are going to start today with with an early poll question here, guys, and we are going to um, go to my tools. There we go, polls, and we are going to ask you guys the first question of what are the biggest struggles that you face when coordinating your specs. I've only limited it to three. I'm sure there's lots of issues that people have when when they're sort of writing their specs, coordinating their specs, working with their specs. But I'd love to know just from the options there, whether it's updating related sections, making sure the reference standards are current. Those slippery little suckers, they change a lot,
That's
or
right.
working within the accuracy of part two and how products change and companies come and go, and just sort of the challenges that are all that revolve around part two. So we are. I'm so okay. I'm glad we didn't put any money down on this one because I would have lost this bet here. But the part two accuracy. What do you guys think, Alex? Did you see this happening? That was an
I,
interesting move.
I do. I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
the consensus here. Part two
Yeah. Okay.
accuracy.
All right. Cool. So let me get back to sharing our
People pleaser.
screen here, and oh, it brought me back a few. So today's special guest, guys, is no stranger to the show. It's Eric Letbetter. Eric is a seasoned architect and certified construction specifier with over 30 years of experience. As founder of Letbetter Inc. LLC, he specializes in specification writing, quality control, and professional mentorship within the construction industry. Eric's diverse project portfolio spans transportation, hospitality, retail, education, aviation, and more. A passionate mentor and lifelong learner, he is dedicated to advancing technical document quality and guiding the next generation of professionals. Outside of work, Eric is a committed endurance athlete, having completed numerous half Ironman distance triathlons, the Boston Marathon, and a legit full Ironman triathlon. I don't know about you guys, but if you thought spec writing was hard, I got to imagine this was harder. So, everybody, please welcome to the show Eric Ledbetter.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Super excited to be
Yeah.
here.
Oh my God, I'm so looking forward to this. These are always. Last time we did this, we were in person in Atlanta. So we're going to try this remote today. So today's episode, we're going to cover just an overview on how custom links are working, the benefits of linking sections to maintain consistency, how firms are using custom linking for better project coordination. I think Eric's going to bring a lot to the table on that. And today, Eric is running the ship today. He will have full control over SpecLink, so he will be the one controlling and demonstrating everything for us today. So that is Eric's cue to have a sip of water and get ready while we line up our next poll question. And I promise we're not going to make these super crazy today. So the next poll question is, have you tried custom linking in SpecLink? So I know we get a lot of various experienced users of SpecLink on here. Some might be more new to it, so they might not have gotten adventurous in the customizing of it yet. Some might be seasoned pros and just linking it within an inch of its life. So curious to see how these numbers. And some didn't even know we could link. We've got a handful of people, viewers today that are learning this for the first time. So this is really valuable information for us Now, we are over 40%, Eric, of people who have never tried custom linking. So I am hoping by the end of this, we will have inspired a whole group of people to try out linking for the first time, and maybe help benefit what they're able to do with their spec writing. So I'm
That's
going to
right.
turn it
And
over
I would
to
add to
you.
that, Dory, really quickly, for those that
Hmm.
aren't using SpecLink or maybe are going to be seeing this for the first time,
Hmm.
you'll be excited to see what the linking is. So we've got a lot of automation inside of SpecLink, that hence the name SpecLink, that brings together the specifications through automated links. So we're going to be excited to show it, and we'll go ahead and pass it over to Eric.
Eric, it is all yours.
Awesome. So before we get into some of this, I wanted to sort of offer up a few things and say a couple of things about linking, and that basically that um, the links that are set up are designed by experienced specifiers at RIB, and they've got a rigorous quality control process that I think are really intended to meet most, and I say most of what can serve as a good starting point. Um, and so, to that end, these choices are made by humans with opinions. That doesn't mean that they need to be absolute for your project, right? I could have said project there, part Canadian, not really. Uh, However, I don't find myself often overriding them. If I do, I have a reason. And if I'm building some of that logic into my system or someone else's, I want to leave some notes behind. And so a little shout out for the blue project notes where you can and the commenting feature where you can sort of pick and choose your poison on how you want to document and coordinate those. Um, the best description of linking that I've heard, shout out to Beth Stroshane, boils down to the idea that human intervention wins when it comes to linking. And so that what I mean by that is I can manually select a field that's linked to be inactive and set it so that it's not active anymore. I can manually ignore automatic links, and then I can create links that override the automated links, especially when I set them up as manual selections, because again, we go back to the manual selections being sort of the winner there on that side. So I'm going to flip over to a super simple example of how you can use custom linking in a really simple application like this. So um, a lot of times we like to do a drawing list that goes in the specs that sort of ties the two back together. Some people do this, some people don't. And so this is a custom version of that. And so we're going to refer to the drawings. And so I've set this up so you can see this is automatically linked here. And if we click on the little column, if you've got that column turned on, you can just click on that little link to get over to the links. The other way to do that is to grab the sequence manager itself and then click on the links. But for me, grabbing this little guy over here on the left side sort of gets you one fewer click. And so you can see there's a logical sequence over here, but what you know from that is we know that we're looking at sequence 3, which is the sequence column number. And so that sequence has two things. It has what's called a source, which you see here, and a target. The source means that another sequence is acting on that. The target means that when this sequence is on, it behaves or acts on another. And so the section includes here, if I click on this link, you can see that the section includes will turn on sequence 3. So you can sort of bounce around, start to, if you're sort of new to linking, I suggest you sort of go into a section and start to click on the links and look at the differences between the two and what has a source and what doesn't, what these mean. You can click into these and it will tell you all the things about it. So that's a pretty good way if you're sort of a learn by doing That's a good introduction to sort of see how it behaves. But for the purposes of this, I said, okay, I've got these I've got these different setups, and one of the things I like to do in links is we can type this list all we want, but the reality is it's a lot easier to do a mouse click than it is to type all that in over and over. And so one of the things we could do is say, okay, our default setup may be that, hey, all of our index is covered on sheet G02, but I've got multiple buildings that I use sometimes, and so I may want to come in here and say, okay, I've got 3 buildings, and so I may come in here and do that. And so this is set up so that if I activate this paragraph or this article, this sequence number, it's going to turn that one off, because that means I'm already wanting to do something more than that. And so then I can come in and building 2, building 3, and a parking deck. And so these are sort of some pre-edits I made given that setup, sort of some common things to pick. So you can edit these things down. And so that's a sort of a super easy, super intro level to linking, and a sort of something you could easily practice on in that regard. So once I turn those off, it will reactivate that. So I don't have to reactivate the default setting when I do that. If I turn this one on because I want to edit something like that, because I've got, let's just say I'm doing, let's say I had 3 different, for example, if I were going to do this, and I might have 3 different sheets of this, because I'm doing a separate, let's say I'm doing a separate issuance for building 1, a separate issuance for building 2, and a separate issuance for building 3. I can come in here and do a one click there. The way it's set up now, sort of manual, so I can do that. Now I can print a separate index reference for building 2, and so there's a lot of customization and flexibility in the way that's set up. Do we have any questions coming in about that? Any of that?
There was a quick question that came in from Jessica about how you turn the link column on. If you could just do that real quick, and then we are all up to date on all other questions.
Sure. So the columns, the show hide columns, may be what you're looking for. If you don't have all these things up here, there's an icon over here that looks like columns, and so you can have that on all the time. And these are the columns. These are the things that I have on all the time. So you want to make sure if you've got the columns set on there, you have links in there. That's how I do it. The other way is so you want to make sure that's on, and so then you come in. And then you can click on, see the column that says L, you can click on the little chain, and that will pop up the link manager. The other way is to come back in here and look at the left menu bar where the sequence manager is, and activate that. And then there's one for links, gets you there, and then there's one for notes. The difference, I think, here is that if you're clicking on this one, it's going to give you the link for that specific sequence. And if you click on the sequence manager and click on links, it shows you the whole tree. So I could sort of quickly just pick and choose where I want to go.
So good. Awesome answer.
Yeah.
Awesome Eric answer.
Okay.
Remember last time we were on together, I flipped your names too. There's something about the 3 when I'm talking to you guys too. The brain gets all scrambled. So no, Eric, you're good to keep rolling, buddy.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so I want to go to another example of where I might do some custom linking, etc. This one has a couple of different things that I'll show you here, but I'm going to fast forward to something that I've done here. Here's a good use case for some custom. I mean, and this is an oversimplification, but I think once you see how this is set up, you can understand maybe or come up with some other use cases. So let's say that I'm using the project directory and I work with a number of consultants frequently. I can populate, I can pre-populate this thing so that I don't have to change it every time in my master. I could have a number of different structural engineering consultants under here, but let's say that I've got this one company, this 26.2 Engineering Associates, and they've got a Boston office. Shout out to Boston Marathon. But for this project, I'm going to work with the Cincinnati office. I can sort of set the default here. So if we look at this link to this, so company name. So if I activate the name, it automatically activates the Boston office. And so linking takes up resources and memory. So I don't usually feel compelled to set up the rest of these children to the Boston office, because if that sequence is off, it's off, and I don't have to touch those. But if it's on, it's on, and I just leave those in place. So you can reduce the processing speed by sort of thinking about what actually needs to be linked. So if and I set up my masters with that in mind very frequently anyway. So little tip for sort of getting some efficiency in there. So this time I'm going to use the Cincinnati office. And so if we look at the link here, I have set this up to, so if I click on the link for sequence 107, which is the Cincinnati office here, this is going to have, this has a target link. It says, okay, if sequence if sequence 107 is active, then it is going to, it's a paragraph type link, and it is going to turn it off. And so the way that's set up is if I click the Cincinnati office, it's going to deactivate the Boston office. And if I need to change it back to the Boston office, I simply deselect that, and the automatic linking comes back on. So if we want to, I can walk through that real quick. So let's do a walkthrough on a linking for company name X. So if I turn on this company name here, this is sort of so this is you can see that this is RIB generated content. So it's already pre-populated with some links here. The primary contact is sort of linked there, but let's say I want to make sure that, like, hey, I really want an email address every time I've got that. Let's do two things. Let's make some changes to this linking. So let's say primary contact is here. I really don't care what their title is, but I need their name and their email. So I am going to do this. I'm going to do it this way. I like to start with the source. So if I come back to 18, so you can see where this is active, and it's one of the things that's, like it or love it, it's generated by RIB, and I can't edit it right now, but I can influence it in other ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel that edit out. So title automatically comes on, but I'm going to add a new target here where it says click to add target link. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and now it sort of comes up as this link type. And there's a couple different kinds. There's paragraph links, there are choice links, and then there are cross-section links. I'll get into a choice link in a bit. A cross-section link, the table of contents is something that I use frequently for cross-section links, but that's where I turn on something in one section and it activates something in another section. But for the most part, for this case right here, we're going to talk about just a paragraph link. So this is really just drag and drop. So I want both sequence 120 and 121 to be active. So actually, this is just drag and drop. And if you didn't know that, you can do multiple drag and drops into there for the same one on the setup. It will generate a separate link for each one of those, so that if I need to edit this, I'm not going to damage the other one. So if I wanted to get rid of the name link, I can delete that one individually. So now that those two things are active. So that's one way to set that up. So let's delete that. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to lose that. I may lose that power a little bit. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let me go back. So now I want to set that. I don't care about the title. I'm going to blow that one. I'm going to blow that out. So I'm going to go to the sequence manager. I am going to add a new link, right? So this is one way to create a new link. So you click this big blue button here, and it doesn't have a sequence number. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't know what you're trying to link. So starting fresh, So now we're going to drag and drop this name, this sequence 120, drag that into the section, and you can see that it's going to pretty friendly in terms of is it in the right spot or not. So look for that blue plus sign, that green plus sign when you're doing that. And now I need to tell it what I want it to do. So that's a target link. So I am going to make it deactivate sequence 119.
Eric, if I could just jump in real quick, there's
Yeah.
a question that came in that's exactly what you're talking about right now. So maybe if we can just expand it a little more. Question came through from Derek saying, "What do the colors on the link mean? P is green." So if you can, I think maybe you're getting to that, but if we can just make sure we address that when
Okay,
when we
sure.
hear that.
The green, yeah, P is paragraph link, but so this is a paragraph link that's deactivated. So the red is sort of is really a reference to the stop sign, a stop, and the green means go. So green is on, red is stop, yellow is maybe. So I could, and these things are all editable. So if you mess that up, you don't have to redo it. Let's just say turn that into a suggestion. That's probably not going to do a whole lot because it's already activated there. Because it's already green by default, so it sort of gets overridden by that one. But if I'm gonna deactivate, and you can see that there's a little key here. It says activate, suggest, and deactivate. Does that answer your question, Derek?
Let's hope so. Let's keep moving forward, and I'll let you know if he chimes back in with some clarifications.
Okay, so if I activate the name, then it turns off the title. So start to mess with that, play with that a little bit, and see how that works for you. I'm going to go back to the project directory, and so I've monkeyed with this one pretty significantly. There's a construction manager on projects, frequently or not, and if you deal with this, there's a couple of different ways that you can set this up. This project directory, you can see these user paragraphs here that I added. So this is some custom content in terms of how I've given myself a number of options to do it. And before I show you what's going on there, I'm going to scroll to the bottom where we have this entire article here that's really dedicated to the construction manager. So it's off by default. But I can turn that on, and it's got a number of settings set up. And because these are children, I need to know, who's there. And I've already keyed this one off. So if we go into this link, you can see how I set this one up. That I think I set this one up the same way. Sorry. Yeah, so I set this up so that if I pick the name, the title is off because I don't care, like I said before. So you can do that manually, or you can, so that's off now. We've seen that that's off. I have set a custom link up here. Let's go to this one. So now this one has a choice link. So I have edited this choice to have a construction manager or a fill in the blank. Quick tip here. This is just a plain old fill in the blank, but if I right click it and edit choice, I can actually come in here and add custom content. Save that. And now I have a choice that I can use to manipulate it. So that's how I created this title as a fill in the blank to be construction manager. But I'm not going to delete that. So if I pick construction manager here, so I've selected that, and if I scroll down to the bottom, it should activate the construction manager article. So that was a custom link that I set up, and if we click on this link, you can see where, if you come here, see where it says the source of this is the title construction manager. It says C2P, it's choice to paragraph. So the way that this looks like, it's a choice link. The link type is C. It's going to activate it. It's going to activate it when sequence 15 is on, and it is going to activate it based on the choice of construction manager. So if I go back, and the reason I would set that up is if I did set that up that way and I come back in and I deactivate that, because I'm just going to fill it in. It's going to automatically turn that off. So some of these other things, shout out to global terms here. This is a choice field, so if I want to edit that choice, that is that's a global term. It's green. Here in the choice field, you can add global terms to your choice fields, and then if I come in here and change that, it'll change the actual name of the construction manager. So that's
Eric,
one way it's set up. Yeah, go ahead.
so there's a question that, and I'm only interrupting because the timing's perfect. Frank has
Yeah.
asked a question, curious if you can import VCT files or anything similar, because he's looking for an easier way to import and populate names, numbers, addresses versus manually having to type them all the time. Are you, can you speak to that?
Yeah. So so I don't know about importing it, but one of the ways that I've done that is I just copy and paste from just Control C, Control V from Word. I don't know. Let's see if I can remember how that works a little bit. Let's see if I can. What do I have up on pages? I've just got some random spec section. I can just come into here. I can Control C, and then I can come in here and I can hit Control V, and it does that. So that's one way to do it. However, if I come in here and I come to my menu, it may behave a little different on may behave a little differently on a PC. Let's see if I did it this way. Yeah, I've done it
You
in
use
Word.
the Mac, Eric? You're a
I
Mac user?
I'm a Mac user.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Jeez, you think you know someone.
I know, right? But yes, you can copy and paste in there. It's a little more friendly with it's not super friendly with what I just did, but let me pick one line, click that in and paste. So you can do it that way. But if you and it should copy paragraph and article from Word. If you've got your Word content set up right, you can copy and paste that in. But the other way to do it is you don't have to have this set up this way. If you just want to have, you can always come in and delete that whole thing and then edit. Just have.
Is there a way to use global terms for this, Eric? Zoltan just made a comment here saying that you can do repetitive addressing with global terms.
Yeah, for sure. So I would probably, so let me show. So there's the owner's name. I just happen to have global terms. So owner's actual name. There's the name of the company. There's that. Let's see if I can just do something else. Right. So client address. I can do all these: client city, state, zip. Oops. Client firm name. Oh, it's not behaving. Client phone number. Right. Come in here and delete this. So yeah, you can set all that up if it's a global term. But if you're working with 6 different structural engineers, 7 different mechanical engineers, you may not want all those global terms in there. But yeah, for sure, you can set all that stuff up that way.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so the other custom piece I did here was if I just want the primary contact to be here and I don't want someone to page all the way down. I thought maybe that's a little silly for that particular project. I can just turn on the construction manager content here, but probably the critical piece that I did there is that I set up a red link to block that, so that if I let's look at this one. So if I manually activate sequence 21, you can see over here that it's going to turn the construction manager red so that I don't have duplicate information. So you can do things to protect yourself from coordination or duplication of effort with things like that. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas about how that linking works.
All right. Let's just keep an eye on the questions here. There are a few coming in. If now's a good time.
Yeah.
Stacy is asking kind of a two-part thing. Did Stacy ask two questions or one? Where do global terms link back to? And I don't know if they link back to anything so much as they're defined in a sort of one spot and distributed throughout the document.
Yeah,
Right.
they live in the document manager. Um, if you want to know what your global term, if you want to output the global terms, do, 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 do. So if you want to output your global terms, and I didn't invent this idea, so if you want to you just make a new. This is the easiest way to get your global terms. Um, is to make a new section and just drag and drop your global terms into a section of its own that can be printed.
Oh, that's smart. All right. What else you got
Uh,
teed up for us today, Eric? Oh, Alex, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. So one of the questions that's come in different varieties and ideas and suggestions is basically, Eric, the abilities to, leverage these links for really project checklists. And I know that we've kind of shown some bits and pieces, but if it's based on medical facility versus an interior finish out, or if it's a lead project, you know, leveraging the linking in that capacity. And the answer is you definitely can. You can have project checklists that are designed for certain scopes of work, or if it's a lead project, or if it's what type of contract it is, that will create and you leverage linking throughout the project. Eric, do you have any examples of that you are currently using by chance for your work, or is that something that you've run across?
Yeah, I can show this example. So this is an example of something that you can do that I think it sort of speaks to that. So where this has standard edit listed, you could have that as lead items or anything else. I like to nest. I like to nest some of these sort of. So let me back up a little bit. So I like to set up most of my links within a section. The cross linking takes up a little more bandwidth, and so it's a little more efficient in terms of how your links behave if you can limit them to act on a single section. That's
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
just that's just that's just my preference.
From one section
Some
to
of
one
that is
section.
based off of a concern about breaking crosslinks when you start importing sections to other sections and creating rogue links within your sections. So I prefer to reduce cross-linking. I know it's got some power and some usefulness in certain places, but for the purposes of this, I think, for the purposes of customization, I think it certainly works well here. Now
In this
you
section.
you can set up. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, just clarify for the group on the call. Yeah, so this is, he's in the section. You can set up a sort of a checklist for your sector type or client type, etc. Um, and sort of interface those links, in that dynamic in each section versus one sort of project checklist section, and then having links, cross-section links going through. So sorry, Eric, just wanted to make
No,
sure
no,
that
no.
that
That's
was
that's
clear
that's
to
perfect. That's great.
the audience.
there are plenty of there are plenty of people, spec power users that have sort of a project requirements section that has all sorts of cross-linking set up to do those kinds of things, to say, okay, this is a lead project, and it's going to activate every lead article in the whole, in the whole system. You know,
Sure.
that's doable. It has to be set up that way. Um, I would probably be more in favor of sort of setting something up inside each section so that you can
Hmm.
check it and quality control that. But one of the things I'll set up this way is, I'll sort of, I think this is going to speak to that in general in terms of how you might set that up. But so I just picked this one because it has some things to it. So I have this standard edit choice here, and it's manually selected there. So um, if I were to open the section and start generating let's see if we can get it to update a little bit. Okay, so if I activate this section and I start using the power of this thing to say, okay, I'm going to make some choices here, it automatically turns on part 2. And so I'm going to make some choices here. Some of these things automatically link, some of them do not. And so I might say, okay, I'm going to edit this thing. I may want this thing to read a certain way, and I may want things in part 1. So I went into sequence 2 and I said, I want these things on every time. And so I've got this thing called standard
Nice.
edit.
Okay.
So in terms of setting up a master,
That's
that would
great.
be super easy to activate all those things, and then it's got all the stuff in there that you want in there anyway.
Sure.
So
Yeah, the great thing I love about SpecLink is, just this sort of muscle memory, if you will, in the program. These links really help users to establish those kind of core design standards, and have, through the linking or the, pre sort of selection of text in your master, you get a really good sort of bookmark, starting point into specifications, and it really drives time savings and consistency.
absolutely. So that's one of the things. So I set up this other one that says, for the clay roof tiles, I set this example. It says all profiles and colors indicated on drawings. So we've got a standard edit, and if we go down to part 2, we've got a tile size that says match proving example, and the finish is unglazed. The color isn't even chosen, and so I
Mhm.
said, okay, I want all profiles as listed on the drawings. And so I'm going to activate that choice. It's got a number of links here. Let's see if it'll pull it up to sequence 3. So now it says sequence 3. You can see all those different links. So now when I go back down to part 2, if you remember what it said before, it didn't say all this. So this now says profiles, tile size, finish, and color all as indicated on drawings. So with one click, I can sort of set the default back to whatever the designers have on the drawings. The caveat here is that it doesn't necessarily work in reverse. So if I deselect that choice, right there, it's gonna turn off the things that are sort of force activated here. So the profile I had if we're looking at the sequence 3, I had profile activated manually by that, and the color activated manually. So what it does is it turns those off, but these strictly choice fields, they remain in effect. So this one still says tile size as indicated on drawings. Doesn't mean I can't go back in and change it to, say, matching approved sample. But by that same
Right.
token, if I go back to now say, okay, let's reactivate that,
Hmm.
it's going to go back and it's not going to say matching. It's not going to say matching approved sample again. It's going to say as indicated on drawings. So it depends on when you
Right.
do that and when you activate that. So I can always come back in here, and let it say matching approved sample.
And I actually had a long conversation, Eric, with a client about this a while ago. They were looking to really leverage the links to build really powerful office masters, and they're an engineering firm, so they were bringing a lot of their content. But I think what they did is they actually created another option in the checklist that was basically sort of like almost like an undo button for those choice links. So when they clicked that, what it would do is actually reset the choices back to the default, if that makes sense. So it
Oh
sort
yeah,
of
that's
pushed that
awesome.
communication. Yeah.
But that speaks to the real power of what the linking can do. And just to sort of cover it to make sure everybody knows how to do it, we talked about how to override a green or linked paragraph here. So you can sequence. You just have to right click on it. You right click on it and say exclude and ignore links.
And guys, I just love to jump in right now and add a great story that just came through from Marjorie, just about the power of linking. So for everyone questioning, is this really going to save me that much time? Like, what are the benefits to all this? Marjorie shared with me that for lead related projects, that they have pretty extensive linking in their projects. So I asked her, so how many hours, how much time would you say that saves? The answer was it saves opening every single section and turning on up to 10 paragraphs in each one. So probably saves about 5 minutes times 250 sections. So over 20 hours per project that they're
Wow.
saving by one click of a button. And it also avoids miscoordination everywhere. So where,
Exactly.
I mean, while some of these features are saving you just the mental RAM of having to keep track and coordinating things, I mean, like 20 hours per project, per lead project, but that could apply to other things. That same feature could be used for something that's not lead, and just saving large chunks of time. That's a great story, Marjorie. Thank you for sharing that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, Marjorie,
and even if I'd be interested to know from Marjorie how long it took her to set that up, because the payout on that per project is pretty wild. It's like
Mhm.
even if it took her 2 days, even if it took her 2 days to set all that up, that
Yeah.
pays for
hey, that's
itself
20
with
hours right there.
one project.
Yep.
Well,
And
and you can, and that's a good, I think, a good point to mention. And I tell a lot of my clients this is when you're setting up these links, I mean, really, it is only a little bit more. If once you get streamlined with the workflow, the assignment of links is really almost the amount of time that it takes to check the box to manually turn something on. So, you can get really powerful with this and, set up these links for the things that are going to be repetitive, sort of project decisions and coordination, activities, and link it as opposed to manually turning it on. And then that, can actually become the office master. So there's definitely ways to kind of do this with billable work and sort of build out your linking, in tandem.
Agreed, Alex. The other case for the standard edit is to make that sort of pre-selection that whoever's the spec guru at your office or whoever's running that to have more influence on things that are supposed to just stay on, so that if there's a particular uh, piece of content that you want on, you set that up to be on, and then someone has to work to deactivate that. So from a quality control and a template and a baseline choice selection, when setting up your masters, it has a pretty significant use case there.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I love about SpecLink too. I mean, you can edit up, you can edit down, you can. Exactly. You could have your sort of, chief spec writer make those links and set up that logic. And then, for project managers, they can, like you said, Eric, deactivate certain things. You can activate certain things, but it gives you that perfect sort of blend. So, I mean, really with SpecLink, you more or less get to design the workflow of how you want to edit the specs, which is pretty cool.
guys, how is this
And
for case study information? Marjorie has just chimed back in. It says it took 16 hours to set up.
yeah,
All of that linking that saves her 20 hours per project, and they've used it on about 30 projects already. So how is that for payback to really spend some time investing in your linking process for the future payout?
That's amazing.
That is unbelievable.
600 hours. That's that's in the months worth of work right there
For a 16-hour investment.
for sure.
Like, so it took, let's say 2 days, let's say a week, right? Take your time.
Right.
Even a week, that's an unbelievable payoff. That's amazing.
I think
So
Marjorie deserves an all-inclusive vacation somewhere.
I'm trying to get Marjorie on here one day, guys. Don't worry. We're chipping away. We're chipping away.
So I made this is a funny story. When I first started using SpecLink more than years ago, I made a use case to pay for the license based solely on the number of uh, based solely on the time we would save from not having to change the footer every time for documents that were done in Word compared to doing it in Word. So same thing, someone has to open you're just changing the date in the footer, but you have to open 120 sections in your project, and then you got to change the date, and then you have to save it, and you have to do that, three
Mhm.
times per project, and that starts to become real value. So those use cases are there. Um,
Right, right. And it gives you that time back to make the creative decisions in your specs, and really, not be
It's just worry what you
sort of
want to worry
cuffed
about.
by your, yeah, and not be sort of strapped by these manual, hours of work that SpecLink can really, eliminate, take care of.
so I'm
Eric,
going to do.
we've got 12 minutes left, so I'm going to need about 5 minutes or so to wrap up at the end. So if you want to gauge your next demonstration accordingly, but this is, I mean, this could easily be a 2-hour webinar today. So we'll get you to commit to another one of these days. But as for today, we've got about 7 minutes left for you to continue to wow us.
No, that'll be perfect. So I did want to walk a little bit through so the I think you just have to sort of, in terms of how do I learn how to do this, you sort of have to dig in and start monkeying with it and figuring out how it works. But I think that the choice options can be the trickiest ones. And so let's just do another one and say, so I want that to be active. So I'm going to use this as an example to say, if this is active, oh, come on. All right, now I can do it. I didn't wait for the thing to save. So if this paragraph is article, I want to set up something, test choice field. I want to do something. I want to influence this choice field here, right? It's not the right place to do it because that's really in part two. Um, but I want to. Ooh, I wonder if I can. Is it set up that way? Let me go ahead and do it. Yeah, it's already set up that way, really. So 252. So I can scroll down to 252. It's already set up for that influence. So that choice field should be linked to too hard. Right. So 882. So I had that particular choice made because I wanted that on, but there's also some automation in there. Um, Sometimes I don't usually feel bad about making those manual choices, even though it's linked somewhere else, because that means if the link changes, then that's gonna remain on. So that is set to. Let's see what happens when we do that one. All right. Well, let's do this anyway, so we can walk through how to do this. So I am going to make a new link, and I'm going to link this test choice field, and I want to link it to this ice dam protection. So I'm gonna I'm gonna make a new target link, and I'm gonna change it to a choice link. Actually, what I like to do is I like to drag and drop the sequence number first, and then say it's right. If I have that on, that it's gonna include ISTAM protection. Now, if you didn't see it, maybe I'll do it again, right? So I don't necessarily have to go in and make it a choice link first. If I do that, it's gonna make a choice for me, but um, I don't have to make that click and then that click. I can just say, hey, it's a paragraph link. I drag the sequence number in there, and then I make the choice. It's literally just one less mouse click, but you can imagine how that also might stack up too. And then
I'm just going to jump in with a quick question for
okay.
Alex while Eric's building that there. Earlier, Alex, Frank had asked a question about global
Yeah.
terms. I think I know the answer, but I just want to double check. They are project specific, correct?
Yes, they are project specific versus database wide.
Okay, excellent. I thought so.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to make
But
sure
your
we were.
but your list, your master list does live globally. So the global term owner,
Yes.
yeah. So I guess in Revit speak, it's the global term is I'm gonna mess that up if I use the Revit language, but the global terms are instance parameters inside each project,
Right.
but they
Hmm.
exist as a global parameter.
Right. For the whole
Right. But
database. Right.
Yeah. So
so
if I make a new user global term, it's available in every project, but the project
but they're only
value
but they're unique to the project.
Right. If you make a
the
change from dog to
value.
cat, it's going to change in just that project.
I
Right.
get the Revit. That was a good reference, Eric. That's deep. That's a good one.
Yeah. Thanks. So I'll just showcase this before I turn it back over to you. So this is, I made this list of global terms because I needed to see what that output was. And there is no other way to do it. So I just have a list of global terms, and I actually broke it up into the RIB global terms and then, some of my user global terms. Um, Sneak peek at some of the things I use. No secret there. You still got to make all those things. But
Right. So that's
that's
sort of
a
your print and preview, and then knowing that those terms will disseminate through the entire database. So anywhere you again place it, for those that maybe you're newer to use SpecLink, haven't seen it yet, seeing it for the first time, these terms you can you can drag and drop into different instances throughout various sections, front end sections, technical sections, and then when you make that change, whether it's the owner name or the architect of record, it's going to customize that and disseminate it through the full every single instance of the project, which is huge, in the way of time savings too, as opposed to manually changing it. Another big thing is with architects, engineers kind of flying from one project to the next. It's easy to sort of leave the the wrong owner or the old previous owner from the previous project or something like that in your project spec. So again, this is a great tool to kind of clean up and quickly disseminate that change, customization, and cross your T's and dot your I's.
5 minutes, Dory. Turn it back
I
over
got
to you.
6. Hold on. I'm going to ask you one quick Mac user question because
Okay.
we did get a Mac question that came through, and this should be a simple one for you to answer.
Nice.
David was wondering what browser you use.
I'm using Chrome.
Okay. All right. We are using Chrome. There you go, David.
I'm
I hope
using
you're still watching.
Chrome. It's just a leftover habit. I think that's funny that the Google Chrome works on the Mac, but you know.
Shouldn't they? I mean, well, stop right there. All right. So we are going to jump in with one more poll question here before we start to wrap up. And this is the easiest one you guys are going to have to end. If you're going to do anything easy today, it's going to be this question. Are you a current SpecLink user? Yes, no, or I am, but my consultants aren't. And then we're just going to have a chat with your consultants about why not and making your life like based on these linkings. And honestly, Eric, this is always such an amazing. This is the second time we've done this, and it's always so knowledgeable and such great information. The comment section, if you can go back and read the comments afterwards, Eric, it's absolutely brilliant. But the power of the linking is just. I mean, you're not talking about 5 minutes worth of time savings. You're talking days of time savings if if you're doing the right kinds of projects. So look at this. We've got a lot of a lot of loyal users here, a few handful that aren't users, and a few that need to get their consultants on board to make their spec writing lives easier. So, Eric, thank you as always for being here. This is absolutely just a treat and a privilege to have you on Spec Talk with us again.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I love teaching. This is super fun, and I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a treat to have you, like I said. So our contest winner from last week, guys, came in from the Port of San Diego, 10th Avenue Marine Terminal, the electrical improvements phase 3, submitted by Corey Kirkman. They used SpecLink to successfully execute this project, and congratulations to them. We will have somebody from our team reach out to you and get you your prize sent over to you right away. Also, I will be in San Diego next year. I've never been to San Diego, and I'm really excited to get there for the AIA conference next year. I'll also be at the AIA conference this year in Boston. So if anybody's there and they want to meet up or stop by and say hello, that'd be great. Check the materials handout in the GoToWebinar. If you guys would like to submit a project for a specified in SpecLink contest, we would love to showcase your project and your firm and send you a couple of prizes there as a thank you. And if our guest today spoke to you and you could see yourself being in need of Eric's services, the best way to reach out to Eric is through his website or through his email, both on the screen right now. Eric, is that fair? Is there any other way people want to reach out to you? Obviously, you must be open on LinkedIn if people want to connect that way as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So there you go. And he's a Google away if you didn't get a chance to write this down. So quick, if you are interested in being a Spec Talk guest for an upcoming episode, we would love to chat with you, talk about your expertise, feature you, and have a conversation. So feel free, again, in the handout slide, you can email us or just reach out to your rep. Your sales rep or whoever you know at SpecLink, and they can put you in touch with whoever needs to be. And I think there was a standout commenter today that I think is going to get asked to be on. Now, in 2 weeks, guys, this is a really interesting one. Our next Spec Talk is going to be featuring Alex Fulton, our training specialist here at RIB SpecLink. And we are going to the name for it is the basics supercharged. So what we're going to do is back up, get into some of the fundamentals that SpecLink has to offer, but also maybe little features within the basics that people aren't aware of that could really help them produce their specs a little quicker. So join us in 2 weeks for the basics supercharged with Alex Fulton, and it will be he's an excellent educator, just like our Eric was today. And yeah, make sure you sign up for that one and don't miss out on that. So on that note, guys, I will say thank you for being here today and being with us. Alex, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you, Dory, as always. Eric, fantastic to have you back on again. And for those that are maybe looking into SpecLink for the first time, just wanted to let you know that we are here. We're available to talk. We do have the ability to set up a one-on-one web demonstration with you to review the program and discuss your specific workflow and your specific spec writing needs or goals. We do have a free trial, and we are also running a special promotion here. This month is with our end of quarter Q1 promotion that we're running. So if you're curious to find out a little bit more about that, please reach out to our team as well.
Excellent. So there it is, guys. Thank you for another joining us on another episode of Spec Talk. We will look forward to seeing you April 2nd for our next episode. And in the meantime, everyone take care, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again for being here, everyone.